Hey everyone, here's another vintage cube draft. Right off the start, I just want to thank everyone who has commented such nice things on my other videos. It means a lot to me. It gives me the inspiration to keep going, so thank you. And hey, if you like this video, please leave a cool comment. I like it a lot. So here we go, drafting. Right up in this first pack, sort of the first picks in quotations for me. There's Fastbon, there's Gideon maybe, there's Kiki if you want to hedge that combo. Recurring Nightmare. Scavenger is a good hate card. I don't like to take it first. Shellback Isle, amazing. Tundra, if you really want to go blue-white control. Narset, if you want to do the draw 7 deck. Burst Lightning, maybe if you really want to go heavy red. And then maybe the Signet. But those are the picks. So I go with the Kiki, I think. I haven't done Kiki Jiki things. I'm going to try to do Kiki Jiki things. Why not? Also, I have my Nighttime Retainer in right now. Okay, so immediately I get Deceiver Exarch. Time Spiral, I would have loved that. Other than that, Darkslick Shores, maybe. Dahlia is great. Lodestone's great. Shieldred, I'm less big on, even though I did get wrecked by it today. Faith Fetish. Wall of Roots is good for the green deck, but I immediately get my combo, so I'm like, okay, yeah. You mean you have to do it, right? Yeah, have to do it. What is Kiki? Because, like, the worst thing you do is you get a Kiki and then you never get a payoff. So now I'm desperately also looking for more Kiki payoffs like Pestermite, Zealous Conscripts, and also looking for the Splinter Twin. So here we go. Right here, there's Chandra's Torch of Defiance, amazing. There's also the Daze, which I like as a little bit of control on the turn that you go off with a combo. But this Imperial Recruiter, here's the thing. Imperial Recruiter, I probably could have just passed it and let it come back around, but I need it high. So as far as in my estimation, its stock price to me is way higher than what the rest of everyone does, and you're never really guaranteed for something to wheel. On average, yeah, it probably wheels, but I can't risk it, so I grab it because it's a one-card combo. You use Imperial to get Kiki. You play the Kiki, you copy the Imperial. You use that Imperial to get the Deceiver, then you use that Deceiver to copy the Kiki, and then you win. So literally, Imperial Recruiter is a one-card combo now that I have. It's only the case with Kiki, not with Splinter Twin, but now that I have the pieces, it's a one-card combo. I sort of like have to go for it. It goes up. I am overly evaluating it. I 100% probably could have gotten that back around, but I did not want to risk it in case someone else grabbed the Splinter Twin and is like, oh, Imperial Recruiter. If I grab the Kiki later, this is good. So here, not much for me. Good cards in general. Yawgmoth's Will, Mentor. Hex Drinker is going up in my estimation. It wins a lot of games sort of by itself. I'm thinking Soulscar Mage, hard for me to say S's with my Nighttime Retainer in. Just because I can then have like a fast red deck with a surprise Kiki Jiki top. But I go with Commit to Memory just because it is good to have some sort of control in these decks. Like the turn you go off, if you have control, it just is amazing. Here, for me, it's between Opposition, Phantasmal Image, and Through the Breach. Through the Breach because then I can have another combo of like, ooh, I could then do like Emrakul stuff and everything. Opposition is a way to like, oh, I can shut them down if I do the small red thing. I forget which one I pick. I picked Through the Breach because I really do like the Through the Breaching Eldrazi deck. And since I have small creatures, I don't run the risk of the normal, like if you're just a Through the Breach deck, and you Through the Breach Emrakul and you have no follow-up, your opponent can recover and then slowly win. But since I have a way to deal that last 5 damage to them, I'm not worried about that. I like having 2 different surprises. And there's a cool thing where I can, if I have the Deceiver Exarch in play and I know they have a counterspell, I can Through the Breach at the end of their turn. If they don't counter it, I Through the Breach in Kiki. If they do counter it, then they probably don't have another counterspell for my Kiki Jiki the next turn. So it is sort of like some protection for my combo. Here, just grabbing the Swift Spear. The Stone Cold Serpent did tempt me. Otherwise, Shaman's great. Valky is decent. Stoneforge's great. Search for Tomorrow, great. And maybe the Repeal could have been good. Here, nothing really for me. I grab the Welder because I'm thinking like, oh, I have this Through the Breach combo. I have this Kiki Jiki combo. Maybe I can grab Artifacts as well. And then I'll have 3 different accesses to attack opponents on. And that'll be very strong when they're trying to deal with me. I mean, otherwise, I might take the Watery Grave, maybe the Toxic Deluge for protection, or like Passant Flames if I want to try to do Storm as well, but nope. Here, there's Spellseeker, but I really don't have any cheap spells right now, right? There's Zergo if I really want to go into this Blaze Red deck. Fire and Ice is great, But I just grabbed Mystical Tutor because I have this Through the Breach. It allows me to find Through the Breach and anything, like if I get a Time Walk or an Ancestral, Mystical Tutor is an extra copy of those. It's just so strong. Here, nothing really for me. I could grab the Electromancer if I want to go Storm, but I grab the Burst Lightning for some protection. If I'm doing Goblin Welder things, the Forge Master might be relevant, even though, we're almost through Pact 1, and I only have one artifact, so chances are, it's going to be dead. But, you're hedging at this point. You don't have ideal cards. You're saying, like, maybe. Everyone's speculating a little bit when you're drafting. So I'm speculating just in case things go really well in the next few picks. This pick takes forever. This pick takes forever. So nothing for me here. I grabbed the Eureka because, like, maybe if I'm playing Eldrazi, I can Eureka them in. This is an interesting choice of, like, which dual land do I pick? I go with Lava Claw because, like, I'm most likely to think I'm going to do black because of, like, Vampiric Tutor and Tutor effects. And, like, maybe if I have Reanimate with the thing through the breach or, like, a Shallow Grave. So the things that go with this deck are more black than green. And then, of course, grab an opposition. So the Sphinx is interesting because of this Goblin Welder. Maybe I actually should have grabbed that. But right now I'm thinking, like, maybe I am doing this Monastery Swiftspear fast red thing combo. And then the opposition will help me make these piddly creatures hold them down. And then now that I have the Fauna Shaman, I might be like, maybe I'm a Fauna Shaman green opposition deck. So right off the bat, looking at all these cards, not a lot for me. Control Magic is great, but it's not a combo. It doesn't help me combo kill. Turnabout lets me tap their mana down, but like, Bergie, not ideal for this deck because if you're using the Horn and you happen to remove one of the pieces, you have to play it that turn and it sort of has to resolve. Imperial Seal, I like a lot, and the Pia and Kieran because I have the opposition. I think I grabbed the Pia and Kieran because I'm like, opposition. Now I have a token generator. With this Jace, of course you look at Jace and you go, Jace. But if I have just one piece of hard permission, especially that's free, I can usually, if I have the Kiki Jiki combo, it's an automatic win. That's what made Kiki Jiki in Modern so broken, Spinner Twin. So I go for the Force of Will because that one free counterspell is going to be super relevant. Like, super, like, yeah. It can just, because I have an automatic win, I just want to protect that automatic win. And because I have Mystical Tutor, now I can get the Force of Will to protect on the turn that I want to go for my automatic win. So that's the choice there. While Jace, like, is more of a slow game, I'm not planning on playing a slow game. So here, lots of things for me. There's Steam Vents, great. Show and Tell for the Through the Breach type combo, great. There's Ravel Master, which works with the opposition in that you make the tokens and then in subsequent turns you don't have to attack with them because you can tap them to tap your opponent's things first. However, I go for Zell's Conscripts. It's amazing against like opposing Planeswalkers. There's a lot of mini combos you can get with it, and it combos with Kiki Jiki. So I go straight for Zell's Conscripts, and it might allow me to go straight like 100% red if I don't like this blue. Which I don't think I'm not going to like this blue, but once again, I don't know what's going to happen. So here I'm like, this Wandering Fumarole is a great land. But I see that Kozilek, and I'm like, that's something for my Through the Breach. It's not the best Through the Breach target. Yeah, so initially I take the Wandering Fumarole, but I need something. Like, you never know how highly people are going to pick Eldrazi. Once again, maybe Kozilek would have wheeled, but I can't risk it. So here, Glorybringer was high in my estimation. Braid is up there, so is Cryptic Command. I grabbed the Monolith because I might be able to, like, second or third turn Through the Breach or Zell's Conscripts that can like untap the Grim Monolith. There's a lot of things I can do with it, so I grabbed that. Here, not much for me. As far as white goes, amazing. Gideon, Councils, Lingering. As far as green, Rexage and Greenstone Zenith. I just go for the Looter because now I'm going to try and like, okay, with my first and second turn, I want to set myself up to play something on turn 3 that'll allow me to Kiki Jiki win on turn 5. Here I'm debating between Jace and the Impulse. And I choose the Jace for multiple reasons. One, Impulse is a one-time thing. Now, looking at 4 cards, very powerful. But Jace, you can look at multiple cards. You can do the block thing where you block, use it, and then it turns into Planeswalker. The Planeswalker side can stunt damage, and it is a win condition in its own right. So now I have another like access to attack opponents on. Where here is between Brainstorm and Pyretic Ritual. I don't have many ways to shuffle my library right now. There's just Mystical Tutor, or maybe if I discard Kozilek. I go for the Pyretic Ritual because I don't necessarily know how much red I'm going to be playing. And Kiki is 3 red. So not only does Pyroretic Ritual let me get to Kiki faster, it also deals with the red. Here, the turnabout. Him to Turret coming this late is so interesting. Potentials for the combo deck. Inspector for the white weenie. I grabbed Lightning Helix just because, like, hey, maybe. And now, it's definitely for me Show and Tell because that works with the codes like the things that I'm going to be through the breaching. And in a pinch, I don't care if you Show and Tell Emrakul against what I play if I'm Show and Telling my Kiki and then I win that turn. You know, I have an instant win. You have a win half a turn later. So the downside of Show and Tell is sort of minimized in this deck. Here, just grabbing the Abrade. It's good. It's good counterplay against a lot of things. This Green Sun's second to last is a huge mistake. I don't know who was drafting green or what they wanted, but oof. So here I am debating the GT, as in like, ooh, that's powerful against a lot of decks. Maybe Goblin Guide if I still want to go fast red, but I think I'm steering away from that. I think I'm going to end up with the Jitaxian Probe because it makes my deck basically 39 cards. I can see if the coast is clear, and once again, if the coast is clear and I have, you know, the cards in hand, it's a free win. So I would rather have that free win or know that, ooh, you got to wait a little bit, William. You got to let your opponent trip up a little bit. And the Jitaxian Probe, that information is invaluable. It's also a blue card for force. So many things. Here, I really want this treachery. I really want this treachery because then it gives me another axis to win on. I'm stealing your big creatures or your best thing. But the Ponder, once again, I want to use I don't want to waste my first 2 turns. Ponder is a way to set up the turn 5 Kiki win. So of course I go for it. Here, I'm debating the big Emrakul for the Show and Tell through the breach, but it doesn't have Annihilator. It's not the best. I'm not ever gonna play it for its mana cost. I'm at most gonna have like 6-7 mana with this deck. Debating the Iona as well for the Show and Tell because Iona Show and Tell does shut down just some decks like, you know, mono red, mono white, mono green. So it is very powerful. Otherwise, there's Smuggler's Copter to start searching for things. And I'm like, and I grabbed the Copter. I grabbed the Copter because I'm still thinking maybe, once again, I'm trying to use my first 2 turns to set up my win. This is an interesting one, and like, there's Inkwell Leviathan, but I'm not going to be tinkering anymore. I still have this Goblin Welder, so actually, I don't think I take the Leviathan, and seeing that I had this Goblin Welder, I maybe should have. In retrospect, definitely should have taken the Leviathan if I don't. Oh, I take the Stormcaller for these. Yeah, I take the Stormcaller because Abbott is kind of a liability. I believe I take the Stormcaller. I'm going to say before I take it. Yeah. Abbott is a liability in that if I use it and I exile my Kiki on turn 2, I feel very sad. So here, oh boy, I see this bribery, and I really want this bribery, but this Ulamog is another through the breach Show and Tell target. I gotta grab it. Like here, this Frost Titan, which would be decent in my deck, but I'm gonna grab the Desperate Ritual just because once again it allows me to do Kiki Zelk conflict things faster. I really do want this Faithless Lootings too, but having the full suite of the combo cards is amazing. Here, Nahiri technically would allow me to do the Eldrazi things with this -8, with her -8, but I don't have any white. I don't want to play white. Time Warp is interesting, but I don't have many ways to abuse it. Like, I'm winning the turn that I play my thing. So, like, it gives me an extra card, an extra land, whatever. Cosm is interesting. Grim Lava is interesting, but I'm going for Frantic Search. Make my deck as small as possible, functionally. Frantic Search is kind of a free card. It basically makes your deck... It's like reduce your hand size by 1 card. Reduce your deck size by 2 cards, basically. Here, just grabbing the Goblin Guide. Waiting. Now I am awaiting. So, there's the Arcanist. I have some things, but I think, like, maybe... Oh, I do grab the Arcanist. I mean, I lied. I definitely grabbed the Arcanist. In case I do fast red things. I sound like the gopher from Winnie the Pooh. In case I do fast red things. I get the Iona back. I'm like, Iona is back? Who is playing Reanimator? And someone is playing Reanimator. The cards are in the pool. Like, why would you not grab Iona? Like, it's such a huge mistake that Iona is this late. There's no excuse for it. Like, no excuse. Oh, it hurts my heart that Iona is this late. Here, I just grabbed the other potential combo enabler. Grab the Elspeth in case I'm going to do Elspeth opposition things. I'm not. And then, I I grab the breeding pool, which I technically right now I do have a way to up into Kiki, but I'm not going to do that. It's too slow. So, deck building. Take that out. Take those out. Taking out the combo that doesn't work, which is basically the whole Goblin Welder thing. I'm classifying my things into combos right now. Into like, okay, Seagate, Dread Horde, these are not the best cards for me. What else? I'm like, what else? This gets out. I need 2 more cards to get rid of opposition. I don't have many more creatures anymore. So opposition, I'll be tapping one thing, like, meh. And without opposition, there's no reason to Pia and Kieran. So there we go. I have a deck. Got my lands. It's actually 10 and 7. I go 10 and 8 because I do have a Kiki. Blue's my more dominant color, but when you're going to need 3 red, you need to go a little bit. And luckily, I have the 2 rituals where I don't have to go full on like 10 and 7 red to blue, which I feel like would have hurt me. Waiting. Now I am awaiting. Okay, great. Here we go. This is like, oh boy. This hand doesn't do anything. Like I have instant combo wins. I can't play a hand that like does nothing. Please tell me I don't keep this. Okay, yep. Great. So now it's hard because like I could get rid of the burst lightning and then I have 4 mana, the 3 lands and a desperate ritual. I get rid of the ritual because I'm like, in the long term, I'll draw more lands. The burst lightning will protect me if they're... Oh, no, I stay with the desperate ritual. That might have been a mistake. We'll see. It's like, in the long run, I'll draw the 5 lands, so the desperate ritual is kind of just like, am I really going to win on turn, like, 5? I keep the looter because I want to be able to get rid of some of these extra lands now. Do I? Wait, do I shuffle? Oh, I do shuffle because oh, here we go. Let me go back. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Play the ponder. The one bad thing with playing the thing at 3. Okay, great. So it's like I already have too many lands. I already have 3 red, which is as much red as I need. I don't need this red. The looter would be good, but it is slow, and the turnabout doesn't really do anything, especially when I don't have 2 blue. So yeah, okay, that's why I shuffle it up, get my extra blue. They top. I'm drawing more lands. I'm just sitting here. I'm just in despair right now. Like, oh, woe is me. 6 lands out of 9 cards. Woe is me. But also, I might still have a turn 5 kill, right? Turn 4, Desperate Ritual into Conscripts. Turn 5, Kiki. So, like, hope is not lost. I'm a little worried that their Imperial Sealing and Sensei's topping, it's like, whatever they want, they probably have in their deck. Now I'm just chilling, waiting for them. Boop, boop. They top. So it's interesting. We just have to like sit here and wait for your opponent to top. Honestly, in retrospect, I think they Imperial Sealed for a land because then they use the top, and then they're going to play a land, and they don't play anything else. I'm like, that's interesting. I think they're mana screwed, and the Imperial Seal was for a mana, which, oh boy, is that risky. Especially, I guess they played first, so they're not in danger of a first turn Thoughtseize, but like, oh boy. So they Goblin, and I'm happy to have this Burst Lightning. Goblin to me implies that they are Storm, so I'm like, oh no. They're going to pop off. So this is an interesting play. What I'm planning to do is Zell's Conscript, the Sensei's Divining Top. They'll draw in response, but it means if they don't have another land on top, they're going to have to like play the Sensei's, look for the land, and then like tap the Sensei's again, wasting their next turn. So I go for the grab, and I guess they have F6 because I just get it. And it's like, that's a free card for me. It's not only a free card for me, but it throws it back on top of your library. So it's kind of like minus a card for you. So that's the problem. I mean, F6 is very useful in Magic Online. You kind of have to use it. But at the same token, there are drawbacks like right there. So my opponent, once again, they were running low on land, running low on things to do. If they have to Sensei's top, use it, they don't do anything. And I'm like, oh, yes, amazing. And so now I'm going to take a peek under the hood. And I see Dark Ritual, top, Tendrils, Spiral, and Yawgmoth's Will. So if they draw a land next turn, they can Dark Ritual into this time spiral, which is a little dangerous. They can also Dark Ritual into like Yawgmoth's Will and like Dark Ritual, and there's a lot of things they can do. Their hand is stacked right now. But I draw my Frantic Search. I get to play it for free, and I find a Deceiver Exarch. I don't need these extra lands, and I'm like, okay, my plan right now is to tap their land, make sure they don't have black, so they definitely can't Dark Ritual and do anything. And then I'll have more turns to attack. I'll get to kill them in 3 attacks. So, they're kind of low on mana as far as resources. So as long as I keep this time spiral from going off, I might just be fine. And even if they do hit the time spiral, they might not hit anything. Because it's not like they have full 6 lands, or like it's not like they're high tiding and their lands are worth double, or they're et cetera, et cetera. So they do get an extra land, and I'm like, uh-oh. But I have this Imperial Recruiter. So my thought process is I don't want to allow them to time spiral. So I'm going to Imperial Recruiter for a Pestermite so that I can... Now, I do have a counterspell, but I think like if I can just keep everything locked down for one more turn, then... Because I know that they're drawing the top. I know that they're drawing the top. So I'm going to keep them locked down one more turn. I'm going to keep their blue locked down so they don't have 2 blue to time spiral, is what I'm thinking. And then the next turn, I will have commit up. It'll be a free win, game over. So I go to enact this. Tap that. Great. And I'm waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. I'm going to see. I'm like, oh, I won. Like, I've won. I'm going to deal 7 next turn. They'll be at 1 life. And then if they try to do something fancy like time spiral, I have commit. So they play the top. They play the Dark Ritual, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is not on script. Then they play Yawgmoth's Will. I'm like, oh, that's bad too. So now they have 3 mana. But I'm like, okay, they can't do anything. They can't do anything terrible. Like, okay, yeah, they can Imperial Seal for something, but they'll only have 2 mana with which to Imperial Seal. Like, unless it's, because they can Imperial Seal and then Sensei's top and draw it. But unless it's like, okay, so it's like I win that game. Great. So I think, once again, because I hit their resources so hard, I was able to win. So they're mostly black, so I think like, oh, okay, I'm going to throw Iona in. I don't really need my, while I Burst Lightning their Goblin, and it was important. If I can show and tell the Iona, hey, that's like game over if I name black. And then I keep the turnabout because if I can turnabout them on a turn when it's like I need 1 more land or whatever, and I know they might combo next turn, the turnabout could shut them down. So that's how I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking as I go into this. Roll in, roll in, roll in. Sorry. Let me go back for that mulligan. Sorry, y'all. So this hand, I can't keep this hand. It's like I can Mystic Tutor into a Ponder, but then I'm going down a card to try to go up and try to grab land. And it's like I have 2 Eldrazi. It's already a mulligan, so I go deeper. Now I'm like, yeah, they probably don't have many creatures. They're a combo deck. Maybe I get rid of the Abrade, but I keep the Abrade. Turns out it will be a good thing, but in retrospect, nah, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna be drawing for the next few turns, so it's like I'll have time to draw 2 more lands, so that's why I throw the land back. So they thought these. They grab the Abrade. I'm like, that's interesting. I grab a Jace, and immediately I see Burgby, and I'm like, oh boy, Burgby, Cabal Ritual. And I'm thinking like, this is bad. Frantic Search, but they don't have any blue. I don't play Jace because I'm planning to show and tell this Kozilek. So they Burgby. Hey, great. They have almost no card. Like they have the Frantic Search, which is card disadvantageous. I know they don't have any important, like there's only a few shots for them to have a strong permanent in their hand that they drew that I don't know about, and on top of that, Storm usually doesn't play. Like 1,000-Year Storm is one of the best best permanents they could have. So I'm not too worried, and I'm like, okay, Kozilek, this game is over. This game is over, 100%. However, they Frantic Search, and I'm like, okay, great, you have 4 mana, and now you're gonna have 2 cards, or 4 cards, I guess. Sorry, I thought they'd already drawn the 2. But I'm like, okay, 4 cards. I still know what one of them is. Now I know it. It's like you have 2 cards to win. So the Cabal Ritual, I'm like, you have 2 cards. Great, sure. Even if you tendrils me right now, I still live. I can play the Jace to block. If you, and then like Yawgmoth's Will, I'm like, okay, that's fine. The only thing they can draw with is this Frantic Surge. So they have to have. They're not playing anything right now. So whatever they have is probably it has to be in the next top 2 cards of their library. I've played Storm enough. I'm like 100% this whiffs. Like I have whiffed so many times in this situation. It's not even funny. And even once again, right now, even if they tendrils, I'm still safe. Like I don't die. If they try to brain freeze me, I have another Eldrazi. There's so many ways that I'm just like I'm not sweating at all right now. It's like once again, Storm count 5. Okay. Play your 2 other spells and play your tendrils. I still live. And then I clear your board and it's my game. However, so I'm like, okay, that's a little dangerous in that like now if they tendrils, I don't know if I can attack. But then they empty the Warren, which like empty the Warren as a Storm outlet is like it's one of the weaker ones because it can get Wrath, it can get Toxic Deluge. There's a lot of ways people can deal with the goblins before you can attack with them. But this just so happens to be a situation where like, okay, I get so tilted right now. Which look, great. Here's the thing. Even though there was some luck involved, great on the opponent that they found the line. They found the line. They didn't just give up. Very good on them. This is a game I'm, in retrospect, I am happy to lose this game. Because it's like I win games on good luck. I have to accept that I will lose games on my opponent's good luck. And they had to do a lot of things right to even get to this position. So good on them. I have no way to win this game now. So I'm just hoping they make some sort of mistake. Like, if they attack with everything, and maybe if they attack with everything and I had a Zealot in hand, there's still a way that I could have won. But because they leave 2 things back to block, I am just dead. So I'm, in real life, I am thoroughly tilted right now. 100%. I don't put in the Burst Lightning because it can't really get the Burgbee early. The Abrade can get both their Electromancer and their Burgbee, and I'm like, what's the chance that they draw both of them? So I'm just chilling. I agree with my logic from before that I'm just going to do powerful things. We're just chilling. Okay, great. Here you go. I cannot keep this hand. No land. Even though I was tempted because I had a Force of Will, and I know Storm well enough to be like, well, they Force of Will. If I have a Force of Will, I can maybe shut them out. But no, I'm starting card down, and I'm like, oh, I have no red. I hate my life. Brah, brah, woe is me. Brah, 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 brah. So that last game should have been mine. Which, you know, you have to make sure you temper those in yourself. Like if those things aggravate you, which, you know, it's fine that those things aggravate you, but then don't play Magic. Play a game that's more deterministic. If you're playing a luck-based game, get ready to have the luck affect you. So I've drawn my red, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm fine. I'm playing to through the breach this Kozilek to take the game. I have a braid in case they do anything. Creature-based, which is how they really go explosive, is they have one of those permanent value things. I'm like, well, they could maybe win from here. So I had the Ponder, of course, go for the Ponder, and I'm like, ooh, okay. The extra land is good. I forget if I think I shuffled this. Yeah, and I shuffled this because it's like I already have something to through the breach. Looter's kind of slow. I need to speed up. So I get the Exarch, and I'm like, ooh, the Exarch is good because it can tap one of their lands down, and then they probably won't go off. I don't know that they won't go off, but they probably won't go off. And then I have something in play where they're gonna get scared, as if like, oh, maybe they have a Kiki or etc. etc. So Deceiver, tap your blue source because it is unique. They play another potential blue source, and I'm like, oh gosh, oh gee, howdy, oh no, woe is me. I grab another red. I'm like, ooh. So lots of things I can do here. Of course, I'm like, you know, if I just Kozilek, I win. It's an immediate win. If the through the breach works, it's a win. So I just go for it. I have yet to see, I think, a counterspell from them. So I'm like, okay, you better have a counterspell or else you're dead. So they gush, and they're dead. Yep. So if I had seen a counterspell before, I might have tried to do it at the end of their turn. But since I hadn't, it's like I just want to shut them down. So I sometimes you just have to go for it. I tend to play a little bit too defensively, and like there are, if you look at my whole lifetime of playing Magic, I'd be willing to bet that there are so many more games that I could have won by being a little bit more aggressive than number of games that I lost by being too aggressive just because of my own play style. Some people that spectrum will be on the other side of the coin. And so you just have to know yourself and sometimes push yourself to be outside of your comfort zone. I definitely keep this. I have a ponder to find more land, and my answer. I love the Force of Will. I don't know what my opponent's doing, but hey, I'm playing to Mystic Tutor for show and tell and just throw out this Kozilek and say, a good game. So I can't let that happen. I get rid of him. I go for the show and tell. The problem with Kozilek, very weak. Kozilek can just be straight up like destroyed. But if they don't have anything, yeah, it's a free win. So there were a few. That wasn't the most skill intensive game, but there were a few very important choices there. So they dress me. I'm like, oh, yeah. Of course, Mystical Tutor. It's like anything in my deck. I go out, draw a Force of Will. I'm feeling happy right now. I'm feeling so happy. I play the looter because I'm like, I don't really like my hand. I might need to go deeper. They played this, and I'm like, okay. It kills me slowly, but like I don't. Now the problem is I'm throwing things in my graveyard, so it's going to get bigger. I don't care about the lifelink because when I kill them in one swoop, or I destroy their whole board, and then I'm not worried about it. I get rid of the monolith because it's basically in the turn that I play it, it's +1 mana, and it doesn't give me the red. So Poetic Ritual is also +1 mana the turn I play it, but it can allow me to play a Kiki. So right now I'm thinking, I'm just gonna keep them tapped down for a while. They have removal. 8, sure. I don't care about that looter that much. I play the Deceiver Exarch. I forget. Yeah, I play the Deceiver Exarch because of Collective Brutality or Massacre Worm. It survives versus Pestermite does not. So while I'm dealing less damage, once again, I don't think I'm going to slowly poop them to death. Now I'm like, oh. I'm thinking I can put it 2 down. It's not the best card to draw now that we're both sort of out of cards. And I can just sit here, and I can have the Pestermite out of my hand by the time they play it again. So I attack, and now I'm like, I can tap down your thing with Pestermite. I am going pretty low in life, and I'm like, oh boy, this is not the best. So I guess my goal is I'm going to memory, hoping to get the Kiki, and I don't. I get kind of poop. I'm planning to show and tell this Iona, but unfortunately, since they have a Death Toucher, it'll kill it. I'm also thinking that, I've reset the power on the Nighthawk, but unfortunately, their grip of 7 cards, a cheap black deck, and compared to what I drew, yeah, I'm just pretty pooped. I've dealt my own death. Now I do have the Burst Lightning for the 4/3, and I'm thinking like, I can block their Murder Strider with my Deceiver Exarch. But now with the Ashiok, I'm like, okay. Once again, I still have a win. If I draw a Kiki or a Recruiter, it's still my game. So I'm hanging on because I have 2 outs. So then they Ashiok again, and they get the Kiki, and I want to concede, but there's still 1 out in my deck, and I'll let you think about it before I reveal what that is. So we're going. It's chilling. They demonic, and I'm like, they're gonna have the best card in their hand. That is very bad for me. Then they Murder Strider. So if I had drawn Zealot conscripts, I can conscript their Ashiok -5, take my own Kiki from the Ashiok, and then win that way. So I'm still playing with Zealot's conscripts as an out. However, now they get the Zealot's conscripts, so I'm like, okay, now I have no out. They're at 28 life. Unless I'm playing to like through the breach, Ulamog, I can't win. And now they have Grave Titan. They've killed me. Like I can't draw both the Through the Breach and the Ulamog, so I am dead. Feels a little bad that I did that to myself with my own memory. But I only had to draw 1 specific card, Kiki, and I technically had 2 draws to do it between Imperial and Kiki, and I had a combo to potentially draw as well. So I still think it was right to do that. So here, I have my Jace. They duress. I really don't care. If they take the through the breach, I can Jace and get it back once he flips. So I'm not too worried about really anything they take. They take the through the breach. So I'm like, okay, maybe they have removal for this Jace. I still have to play it. They go for Demonic Tutor. I'm like, uh-oh, what is their best card? Is it Ashiok? Do they have a counterspell I haven't seen? Is it just him to Torak? I don't know. And now I have, I'm debating between like Frantic Searching first and then I can flip the Jace and then Show and Tell. Or do I just Show and Tell? I decided just to Show and Tell because I want to be able to draw more cards if this goes poorly. Like I need to be able to reset up a whole new hand. Luckily it doesn't go poorly for me, but if it had, I want Jace unflipped so I can keep drawing cards a little bit. You know, Show and Tell can be great when you A, know that you have the biggest creature, and then B, I don't mind Show and Tell too much in this deck because I have the Deceiver and the Pestermite. So let's say late game I have a lot of mana. I have like, let's say it's turn 6, I have 6 mana, and I Show and Tell, and then you throw out some big thing. If I am able to target it with the Deceiver Exarch or the Pestermite, I can tap it. And my big thing, if I'm doing Eldrazi things, attacks first. Or, once again, if it's the Kiki combo, then I win right there on the spot. So I keep this even though I don't have red. I have the Frantic Search, so I'm like, okay, I can get that. They fast bond, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is bad. But I'm like, oh, they have mostly mana. Maybe their hand... I've done this before, and sometimes you fast bond and you don't have any gas. So here we go. Now I'm like, okay, I can draw more things. And then they Vorinclex. So I'm like, uh-oh. I mean, there are worse things they could have done for me. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. I can Imperial Recruiter for like Pestermite, keep them locked down for a while. First, I'm going to Frantic Search to see what's what. I get the Deceiver Exarch. So I can Deceiver's Exarch. Next turn, Imperial Recruiter and Jataxian. And the turn after that, hopefully have a... Kiki and I'll have the Kiki from the Imperial Recruiter, but hopefully I can also draw a ritual, or red ritual of some sort. And if not, I have the Through the Breach in my graveyard. I can flip the Jace and Through the Breach the Kiki into play. So I'm going to tap here for one collect so that I can stay alive another turn. And they Frost Titan. And at first, I'm a little confused why they Frost Titan my Deceiver Exarch. I'm like, of course, they're going to do my land, and then I'm really going to be pooped. But I guess they're afraid of Splinter Twin. If they were, I still think that the solution for them is to tap my red mana, at least this turn. So now I get Kiki. The jig is up there. I get to see your hand. You don't have anything in hand. And I'm fine. Like right now, there's lots of things I can do while I wait for the second red. So I still need a second red because Jace is not going to be able to get tokens because of Vorinclex, and it's not going to be able to... Well, if I Kiki the Vorinclex, then I can use the Jace to plus up, and then I can make... So anyways, I've made the Vorinclex smaller, a 4/6, so I'll go to 4/1 even if they attack with this. I'm planning to chump block. Next turn, I plan to Zealous Conscripts. Actually, I'm dumb. I was planning to Zealous Conscripts their Frost Titan and then tap down their Vorinclex, but that wouldn't even work because of the Frost Titan's thingamajig. So I block. I'm still alive. I'm hoping to draw a red. They tinker out. I'm hoping they tinker out like a Blightsteel. Instead, they get Tinker, or they just so happen to have an artifact, and they get another powerful artifact. Once again, I get so tilted right now. I'm like, oh, I'm tilted. And now I'm just like off my axis. That I'm like, okay, well maybe I still have one more turn. And I can draw a ritual and I can win, but they had this creature land, so I am dead. But it's like they only not only did they just draw the Tinker, but they happen to have one Signet in play, and they have the Mindslaver. Like, oh, I'm irate. But once again, if I'm so angry, I should play more deterministic games. So, love this hand. I get to see what you're doing. I get to hopefully draw. They mulligan down to 5, so I'm pretty much like, okay. It's not very good when you mulligan down to 5. Fast bond. So I'm about to show you. They have Miscalc, which I need to think about. Gush, I'm not too worried about. It is something to consider, but like, who cares? If you're gonna gush yourself right now, meh. I'm every time they play a card that I know they have in their hand, I'm removing it so that I can judge what might still be in their hand. So I'm planning to Mystical Tutor, maybe for Through the Breach. I'm gonna draw first to see what I draw. I draw Closed Lake, and this is difficult because I need the 3 lands for Kiki, but I'm like, I'll draw another red. And now I'm just gonna Mystical Tutor. I go for the Show and Tell because I don't go for the Show and Tell yet. I guess I'm waiting to see what I draw. I don't have anything important in my graveyard. I kind of want to draw more cards with this Jace, so I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna wait. And now I guess my thought is like, I can. Now that I get the Deceiver Exarch, I'm like, I can tutor for the Show and Tell like the end of their or through the breach at the end of their turn, and if they don't counter it, then hey, I get myself an Ulamog. And once again, if they do counter it, then I can Jace it back, and so this is difficult for me. I get rid of the Ponder because I'm like, well, okay, maybe I don't need it. I'll draw another land eventually, I guess, and now I'm gonna Deceiver Exarch. Once again, if they counter it, hey, so what? I can through the breach, Ulamog next turn. So I'm thinking like, okay, here I am. I'm gonna attack, Pestermite. I get rid of Pestermite. I'm just planning on through the breaching at the end of the turn. If it resolves, hey, I'm Ulamogging. They let it resolve, and I'm like, okay. What if I have Kiki Jiki? Like, what if I have Kiki Jiki? Opponent, what if I have Kiki Jiki? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they had like repeal or whatever, which would have stopped my Kiki Jiki combo. So this is like, I only have red, but I have the Recruiter, which gets the Kiki, and then I conscript, so I do have a win. They mulligan and they have a Noble Hierarch, and I just feel like this is just a gift. You always bolt the bird, then they play top and they don't play land, so now it's like, I'm like, this is probably going to be an easy game. I know they have a lot of 6 drops. Once again, fast spawn at this point is a liability, not a help. Now I'm like, what do I do now? So I play the Jace, planning to Imperial Recruiter and Mystical Tutor. After that, I draw to see what I need. I don't need any more red. Here we go, getting the Kiki because of the one turn, the one card Kiki Jiki combo. Now I know that they have miscalculation, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't care if they miscalculate this because I have my combo. But I decide, you know what? I'm gonna just Taxing Probe. I'm gonna see what you have before I go for it. Once again, and hey, look, they have the miscalculation. They have miscalculation and a bunch of sort of like poop that I don't care about. So what I'm thinking is, this turn, I can Zealous Conscripts. If they counter it, then I can Show and Tell the Kiki Jiki in with miscalc backup. Is what I'm, or do I Show and Tell this turn? No, yeah, I Zealous Conscripts. They look. They counter. Yep, sure. And now, I just plus my Jace and chill. They tinker and I'm like, uh-oh, they do have a Blightsteel. Oh no. But they no longer have a miscalc, so I'm like, okay, sure. So what I can do now, I'll give you a second to puzzle it out yourself. But there of course is a win because I 3-0'd. So what I can do is I can Show and Tell the Kiki. Now I almost cast the Kiki for full price, and I caught myself. I'm like, because I knew I wanted Kiki in play, but I was like, oh no. Remember, you have to do cheap. You have to do broken things. So you Show and Tell the Kiki, copy the Recruiter, get the Pestermite, and then win. Now, if I didn't have the Show and Tell, I could always Kiki, let them attack with their Colossus, and then copy my Recruiter, block with both the regular Recruiter and the copy, go down where I have 1 poison to die, and then I have the win there. So that was, there's some interesting games, some thinking games in there, and there's some just like, well, I constructed my deck well, I drafted well, and so almost anyone could have won some of those games. But that's great. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, watch some other videos. It means a lot to me if you comment positively. It helps, gives me inspiration to do more videos, and of course liking and subscribing also helps me grow the channel. So thank you so much. I'll catch you all later. Oh, bye.